forward to it. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Daryl Stephenson, and I'm the ergonomist at the OHCOW clinic in Hamilton, Ontario. And today I'm going to be talking about an introduction to JobAssess, and this is our job demands analysis tool. It's been in production for a few years now, and we've evolved it over the years, but we recently rolled it out in February, and still, keeping up with updates, but definitely want to introduce it again at this event here. So the job demands analysis tool are used to objectively capture and describe the physical, the cognitive, and the psychosocial demands that are required to perform a particular role or job or role. It also includes the sensory demands. So you've probably heard a lot about physical demands analysis or physical demands description, and that would be included within a total job demands analysis. So it kind of captures as much as possible, and to use that word comprehensive again, we've been hearing a lot today. Again, trying to be as comprehensive as possible and capturing all these different aspects of a job that we can. So to start, to access this tool, and all our tools are free and based off and run off our website. So if you go to our website, you actually have to go to my.ochow.on.ca, and this QR code to the right, you can also get there using that. If you look through our website, you will find links that will bring you to that website, but it puts that my in front of the OHCOW there, just so you know it is kind of a separate link. But yeah, so you go to this website and you'll go to the tools and apps, and then once you go through that, you'll scroll down and you'll find JobAssess, and if you click on View Tool from there, it'll prompt you to create an account. And again, all our services are free. So it's a free account. You can make as many as you want with your organization. You can continue without an account, and you can go through the whole JobAssess and input everything, but currently it won't give you a report. It just kind of lets you play around with the functions. We are looking to make a report available without an account, but right now it's definitely best to register, to log in, and that way it'll save all your information, and you can continue to update your job demands analysis as you go. So definitely register and then get logged in. When you scroll down the page, you'll see some more information about how it works. And I'm definitely going to be talking a lot about that today, but you can read more on that as well throughout our website. We talk about our acknowledgements, and this has been a tool that's evolved over the years. And we started off as an Excel-based spreadsheet, and you can see a picture of that in the middle of the screen there. And that tool, that template is still available on our website if you prefer Excel and you want to do it that way. Our original goal was to make this tool available to be across different platforms. So on computer, on your tablet, or on your phone. If you have to do some field observations and you're going out there with your phone only and you can't have a laptop out there all day long, something like that, we wanted it to be accessible. So Excel was kind of our first way to get in on that. And it worked well, but we realized not everybody wants to use Excel, especially on a phone. So we've created this web-based version, and it's much more streamlined and efficient than what we've been working on mainly in the last year or so. So if you're going to choose between the two, I would pick the web-based version unless you're really set on the Excel right now. And we reached out and tried to make this again as comprehensive as possible. So we looked at what other organizations were doing, and we reached out to different researchers. So WorkSafe BC, we used some of their information, and Dr. Sherry Lee from the University of Alberta did a lot of work on physical demands analysis and gave us a lot of information and met with us as well. Okay, so if you go into it, you'll get the chance to either view any of your existing assessments or start a new assessment. And so now we look at, so why do a job demands analysis overall? They have many uses, and they can be used in these various ways, but not limited to these. But JDAs can be used to guide further investigation into potential hazards or risk of injury. Workplaces can use the JDA observation and data collection process to flag potential hazardous tasks that require analysis or further investigation. So as you're doing the analysis, you're kind of flagging potential risks as you're doing it, depending on your level of expertise there. And you can, say, I think this might be, and prompt it for further investigation. It may result in ergonomic improvements, such as the process modifications or design changes that prevent future injuries. So doing this, again, we heard in the previous presentations about being proactive with these type of assessments. And if we can do this as you're creating a new job, maybe we can flag potential problems as we're doing it instead of being more reactive, but it can be used that way as well. Job demands analysis can be used by insurance providers, particularly the WSIB in Ontario, to assist in the determination of work-relatedness or cause of injury in the adjudication of claims. JDAs can be used as a reference to provide employers with specific information about jobs so they can quickly and effectively accommodate workers in jobs that are prescribed with physical restrictions by a healthcare practitioner. They can be used to provide the healthcare practitioners themselves with an accurate understanding of the tasks that the patients are required to do. And they can be used to keep track of updates or changes to a job over time. And we often get this question asked, how often should you do these? Well, every time somebody, a job changes, you can do a job demands analysis. And then with our system, it will save the original one and create a duplicate, which is the updated file. So you can kind of, if a job changes once a year for 5 years straight, you could have 5 different job demands analysis. That way you can look back and say, okay, well, 5 years ago, they were actually doing it this way. And you can kind of track it over time. So we do have a lot of extra resources. I won't spend too much time here, but over the last few years, we've been developing this. So we've created resources, definitely our RSI Day presentations. We've been through the job demands of physical and cognitive. We went through a description of our PDD handbook, which are physical demands description. So like I said earlier, the physical demands is included within the job demands. So a lot of the same information is going to apply. We're looking to update that handbook, and we're also looking to make short videos, mini videos that will go along with each section to help people get better up to speed with each section and how to do it properly. Nathan Birch from the WSPS also did a great presentation on understanding the elements of a PDA. And then also Amy Daryl from the WSIB gave a good presentation on utilizing a PDA or a PDD and an FAE to determine the return to work. So a lot of different uses for these. Looking at who can do a JDA or who can use one. So it's very adaptable to diverse industries and job roles. And it really is suitable for any size of workplace. You could have 10 people working in a shop or something, or you could have a whole organization that has thousands of employees and hundreds of jobs. And really our database, we wanted it to be usable for anybody at any type of scale. And a lot of the questions are customizable where you don't have to answer everything, fill everything out. So it works for a lot of different roles. It can be used internally within a workplace or externally by individuals or organizations. So internally, your occupational health and safety committee, your human resources, the managers, supervisors. But then externally, like we talked about with your healthcare practitioners, physiotherapists, kinesiologists, ergonomists, occupational therapists, the WSIB, and any kind of insurance and compensation may use these forms. So job demands analysis really is trying to be comprehensive and taking in a lot of different essential features of a job. So we look at administrative duties, so things like your schedules, if the scheduling changes, different aspects of the job, how many people will be employed at certain times or on duty at certain times, things like that. What protective equipment that you might wear, all the tools, the equipment, the materials, the environmental factors, all the strength demands, things like lifting, pushing, carrying, all the different body posture frequencies that you might spend throughout the day, the sensory demands that come along with the job. And we're going to be going into these a little bit more. The cognitive demands, and there's quite a few there that you go through, and then the psychosocial risk factors is also included. So the JobAssess itself, the features, again, we wanted to be as comprehensive as possible, including as many of these categories as we could. But we also wanted it to be very customizable and relevant for specific jobs. You don't want to have to fill out everything if it doesn't apply for that job. So even at the start of the assessment, when you're initially going through, you can select if it's metric or imperial, then you can go to the demands and select, okay, I want to do every single demand, or I only want to look at the psychosocial factors within this particular role. So you can kind of make it more streamlined if it need to be. So this is how it will look once you get into the actual JobAssess. At the bottom, you'll see different circles that you can click on, and these are the different key sections that we have, and there's 9 of these so far. Soon we are including the environmental as a section on its own. And basically you can click through these wherever you want, or you can follow it in this order, and it'll start at job tasks, and it'll ask you to input your job task. Then it'll, you go through all of that, then you'll go through administrative considerations. Or if you're there just to take the strength demands, you can jump to that section. You can save the report. You can come back later and fill out different sections. I even found that you can open up your account on 2 different, you can have it on your computer and your phone and be simultaneously inputting different sections and saving it. So it's pretty neat that way, that we wanted it to be easily exchangeable over those devices, and be able to come back and work on any section that you want. So once you get into the sections themselves, this is what they'll look like. So when we'll click on that first circle that says job tasks, you're going to be seeing the titles, the durations, the frequencies, descriptions if you want to place those in there. And we want it to be as simple as possible. So a lot of simple entry fields and a lot of drop-down lists where they're applicable. And then we want it to be accessible across multiple devices. So you can see in the middle, that's exactly how it'll look on the computer. And then on mobile, I just took a screenshot on my phone of the same area, and that's what it would look like. So very accessible on both. It works very well on the phone, and we're very happy with how that works. You can also import pictures right into the document itself. And that will eventually be uploaded onto the final report. We're just having an issue with that right now. But the photo functionality is very simple and streamlined, and it's in the sections where it's most applicable. So we have things like if you have any equipment, you can take a picture of it and upload it. Any of your task elements that you might have, you can take a picture of. There's even sections where you can put an URL or a website which has a link directly to the tool that you're using, things like that. So we wanted it to be really kind of straightforward and easy to use that way. We also created a function within this to, a little bit more of a subjective function. We tried to think of ways originally how we would, create an automatic analysis that would create a hazard, but it's pretty difficult. But we did create this system where on almost every option that you have a flag icon beside it. And as you're going through, you could say, well, this could be a cause for concern or maybe a high hazard risk, and you can flag it. And what that'll do at the end of the assessment, the job demands analysis, in your final report, it'll list all the red flagged areas so that you can quickly see, okay, these are what we're most concerned about, or whatever your organization might want to use that red flag to represent. And then we also wanted to make sure that there was an additional notes area. So we have found we do a lot of work. We do work at OHCOW with compensation. We read a lot of physical demands analysis reports, and sometimes they're very general, and you don't get the nuances of the job until you really interview the worker or the workplace and really see the job itself. So we wanted to say, how can we control for some of that? So on almost every area that you can input, there's additional notes or a description area, and you can expand and write as much as you want on that, and those notes will show up in the list in the final report as well. And you can even see in some of our drop downs, even if you click sometimes there, it'll ask you to explain if sometimes and why, or if you click no, then why not. So definitely trying to get it as detailed as possible. Then when you go into the strength demands area, it'll look a little bit different because it's measuring different things, and what you'll have is a series of drop downs, and you'll pick the ones that are applicable to the job that you're doing. So within the strength demands, you'll have the lifting, and if you clicked on low level lifting, it'll drop down. It won't look exactly like this. It'll drop it below it. It's just easier for me to show you this way to expand it. But then you'll be able to go in, you'll be able to put your forces, your loads, the durations, the frequencies, the efforts per minute or cycle, the height, the moving distances. Again, there's a spot where you can explain if you have anything that you might need to explain about this certain task. And then we also added a little more subjective measure with a Borg scale. And we thought that was interesting. You know, it just gives you one more measure, specifically more individual, more targeted to the individual doing the job or the person assessing it. But they can create this kind of Borg scale, maybe something the forces don't show that it's very heavy, but maybe it's a tricky operation and it actually is harder physically than the forces might show, and you want to represent that somehow, or the opposite. Okay, and we also ask about sensory demands. So hearing, speech, sound discrimination, and sensory analysis in the job analysis refers to the individual's sensory abilities that are required to perform the specific tasks. It's an integral part of the job analysis, and it plays a significant role in ensuring the safety, the accessibility, even the recruitment accuracy or performance evaluation in the workplace. The cognitive analysis involves assessing the mental abilities and the processes that are required to perform job tasks effectively. So there's a lot of categories here, and basically what you'll do is you go through each one and you'll describe the frequency of how much it's required throughout the job, and then you'll be able to select the job tasks and the job elements that you had already described previously in the report and say, okay, maybe these 3 job tasks require memory, and you include them in there, and it gives you a report at the end that summarizes all those and all the essential cognitive process that demands that you need to deal with for the job. Okay, so it's essential for understanding the mental demands of the job, the critical thinking skills, fostering innovation, and managing cognitive risks effectively in the workplace. Then we also ask about the psychosocial factors. And psychosocial analysis involve in the psychological and the social factors that influence the job performance and employee well-being. And it's critical for understanding the human aspect of work, promoting employee well-being, and creating a positive and supportive work environment and culture, and kind of the organizational factors. So we ask about supervision, deadlines and pressure, cooperation, working under emotional stress and violence situations, responsibility, accountability, and working under stressful situations. And those are broken down into a no requirement, low requirement, moderate requirement, or a higher requirement. And here's just a quick little video of me clicking through just so you can see what it would be like on the website. I'm sure you can guess. And then when you go through and create the final report, you'll get a series on the website, so you'll see all of your completed reports. So that's what this picture is on the right, just some examples I came up with. And you can see that the top one there says in progress, Firefighter Hamilton Fire Department, and then there's completed ones as well. So what you can do, the one that's in progress, if I clicked play on there, it would bring me into it and I could make any edits that I want until I finally saved the whole entire document, and then it would come up as complete. The complete ones, you can bring up the report and you can bring up the PDF report. So all of these, when you finalize the documents, they can be exported into a web-based version or a PDF or a CSV, an Excel file, and I'll explain the Excel file next and why that was important to us. But it's really interesting. You can go in and you can work on them, and then once you save it, it gets saved as completed. And if you want to edit that file or go back into it without having to redo the whole thing, you just create a duplicate file and it reopens it and saves the previous version for you. So you can, if a job gets updated, you won't lose the previous job. It won't overwrite it. You'll just create a new separate duplicate file and edit that one and complete it. And then you'll have 2 files on there. And these will always be saved on your My account in there. And then we wanted to export it to an Excel file. And what happens when you export it to Excel file, it doesn't look exactly like this. I've added a bunch here, but what you'll get is an Excel file with the first row there where it says JAT assess. That would be all the different questions that are asked throughout the job demands analysis. Then the second row, you're going to get all the answers that you put for that specific job demands analysis that you did. And if you did a number of job demands analysis, what you do is just export all the CSV files and then copy the rows in, like I've done here, and then you could get all of your PD or job demands analysis in one Excel file, and you could go over to each column and see, you know, where are all the red flags, where if we looked at all the lifting forces, can we compare all the different forces, see what the averages are? You can definitely compare different jobs, and because they're all together in the columns, you can compare each question individually very easily. And I'm sure if you had different functions in Excel, if you're really savvy with Excel, you could do different whole analysis functions on the columns themselves. Then when, like I said, it'll also print off to a website version, which it'll look like on the left there, and it'll have all the different key sections that we have, the 9 key sections. So psychosocial factors will look like that, and it'll have the color coded the same as the original circle. And if you print it to a PDF, it'll look like the one on the right. So it'll look the exact same, but it's just a little more printer friendly, so it takes the colors out of it. But you get all the same information regardless of the way you want to save it and view it. So the Occupational Health Clinics for Ontario Workers adheres to the Privacy Acts published by the Office of the Privacy Commission of Ontario, and all information collected through this survey is confidential and will be viewed only by the researchers directly involved with the project, and no information that could be used to identify you will be kept by the research team. So we definitely wanted to remind you of that we are abiding by those rules. And feedback and future updates is really important. So we would greatly appreciate receiving any feedback on this tool. We'll be updating it in the future based on evolving job demands, as well as feedback from received from the users. A link to the feedback form is provided in the account pick list at the top of every page, but you could just email any one of us at OHCOW if you don't find that. And there is my email and also our Ask OHCOW email at the end of my presentation. And we encourage the widest possible sharing of the tool. Although it's designed and built in Ontario, Canada, the information it captures relates to all workers and workplaces worldwide. And please share this with your colleagues on social channels using the sharing icons. Yeah, and again, it was built in Ontario, but we had WorkSafe BC, we had Sherry Lee from Alberta. We definitely wanted to make it as widely available and usable as possible. And if you have any questions, you can email me at dstephenson@ochow.on.ca or email at ask@ochow.on.ca.
Great, thanks very much, Daryl, for a good snapshot of what is a very comprehensive tool. I think it's probably the biggest one we've ever staged in terms of its complexity, but we are really excited about being able to offer it free for people to use, and hopefully adapt it to their purposes in terms of if it can be a big comprehensive assessment of every job in your organization, or it can be, let's just look at one category, even the sensory category or something like that. So yes, I see Tony is posting a Slido. We always need to ask if we've helped you understand or introduce tools and services that you think you might be able to use in your work. We would appreciate you just answering the question as you feel appropriate. And we very much want to thank you all for attending. For some of you, 5 weeks, and for some of you, 1 week, and some of you in between. But we couldn't do this kind of work without an audience, and it does help us create resources that will be available later. Just like Ken asked a question about last year's presentation, and I was able to go back and find the link to the slides and the contact information. All the videos from the 5 weeks from today and from the other 4 sessions are already posted, as well as the slide decks, and they're posted by individual talk. So you'll be able to refer other people to this content, and hopefully visit the web pages for the 3 tools that we looked at today. I don't know, I'm sorry, I didn't go and get the PSHSA links for the two tools that that you guys spoke about. Perfect, Maddie. Thanks for putting your email in, and if there are any other links to share. And I didn't see any questions specifically for you, Daryl, about the JobAssess. I don't know if we've got some other members of our JobAssess team here. If anybody else has anything else they want to highlight, Andrew or David, if was anything else. So, although Daryl did a good job covering it all. No, I think everybody wants to go for lunch. Thanks, Chris and Maddie, for putting your contact information. So, yep, we'll wrap up now, and we'll be back next year with Mayday in 2025. But if people have any questions about workplace mental health and injury prevention, we're always happy to assist individuals in workplaces with our own tools, or else be able to share the resources that are available elsewhere in the system with our trusted partners. So thanks again, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you next year, if not at other webinars. We're just talking about and not COVID on June 14th. So we'll talk about infectious disease prevention again, and there'll be other webinars coming. Thanks again, everybody. See you next time. Tony, say goodbye, I think.